Wednesday, June 21st, 2017, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So has gold made a short-term bottom yesterday on Tuesday at around 1241? Maybe. Markets are never certain. You can never make predictions in markets. You can have maybe probabilities that things might happen and position yourself for that. But yeah, whenever I, spoke to my clients, try to give them trade ideas when I was in the city, I always try to tell them, of course, this is not certain. I'd look at a chart, fundamentals, and say, there's a good chance we might do this, so I would probably put on this option strategy. But of course, I didn't say, oh, this is a dead certainty. I didn't try to predict prices, oh, next week this is going to so-and-so, such and such a price. I think it's nearly impossible to do that. And this is not why I'm here for. I'm just trying to give you an idea, of my experiences and in the markets for over 20 years. And I just want to say that it's not easy and nothing is ever certain. But it doesn't, it shouldn't stop you from looking at it and maybe taking a view. So before I start go on about whether we made a gold bottom or not, and looking at some charts of gold and also the dollar against the Japanese yen, I want to talk about the Japanese yen and the carry trade. I've spoken a lot in the past about this, but I get new subscribers regularly, so I think it's a time that I talk about the yen carry trade again. Basically, the yen carry trade means that speculators and investors use the yen to speculate. They actually borrow in yen to speculate. And why do they do that? Well, because the yen is one of the major currencies, so there's a lot of liquidity in the market for it. It's not like trying to use the Swiss franc or the, in the past when you had the Dutch guilder, you wouldn't use that because it wasn't a liquid, very liquid market. It's not a big economy like Japan. So in the last 15, 20 years, the Japanese authorities, monetary and government, they've kept interest rates basically at zero and even negative, and their policy has been to keep their currency as weak as possible. So what speculators and investors do is they borrow a currency that doesn't cost anything for them to borrow in, and usually this currency is always depreciating against the other currencies. So it's a double whammy there. You borrow for nothing, and then the currency that you borrow in becomes worth less. And then you take that money and you buy like the Dow, the NASDAQ, you buy gold, or you buy other commodities, and you make money on that as well. And then you take a profit, and then you pay back your yen, and it's worth less, and you haven't been charged anything for it. So that's the yen carry trade. And why is it important? Well, it's because it's a signal of risk appetite in the market. So whenever the yen is depreciating or the dollar is rising against the yen, risk assets tend to do well. But whenever the yen turns around and appreciates, a lot of the speculators and investors, they will get out of their loans, yen loans, because it's becoming more expensive, and close out their speculations. So it's a signal of, decreasing risk appetite. And I found, not only me, but a lot of people have found in the past, in the last few years, that whenever gold goes up against the dollar, the yen tends to go up against the dollar, or the dollar tends to go down against the yen. So I've made videos the last few months about this. So now I'm going to bring up the chart of gold. And this is a chart going back to December last year. We bottomed there on December 15th at 11.22. And you can see that there's now we're starting to form a good channel in gold, with the low from May at just below 12.20 there. And yesterday, as you can see, we made a low just above 12.40. And that trend line now from the low in December and the low in May is just pretty much where we are right now. And that's why I'm asking, has gold bottomed? And I put a little arrow there. Are we going to go up now? Maybe we could keep going down. We could keep going down to test that 1220 level. Who knows? The other interesting thing, if you go on the chart here, at the top channel, the top of the channel, the top we had in the middle of April, that was at 12.95. And we had that same top in the beginning of June. Well, actually, we traded up to 12.96, just a slightly higher. You will see on the Jap dollar yen chart that also happened to be a bottom in the dollar against the yen, April 17th. And yeah, so these are, and also in December 2016, sorry, the bottom in gold was also a top for the dollar against the yen. And you see how, inversely related these two are. So is it a bottom? We'll see. I mean, I think we'll find out soon. Today is Wednesday, we've got another 2 days, trading days. So we'll see if gold holds that line and we're able to go back above 12.50, which is a key level as well, technically, for gold. And I think we're just below the 200-day moving average as well. I haven't looked into that. It's not the point of the video at the moment. So now I'm going to bring up the chart of the dollar against the yen. It gets a little bit confusing because, you're talking about dollar yen, the yen strengthening, dollar weakening. But this is the dollar against the yen. So this is what the dollar's doing. So as you can see here, December 15th, the dollar topped just above 118 yen. And since then, the dollar's been on a downward trend, just like since December 2016. Gold has been on an upward trend against the dollar. And you can see there, I marked there, April 17th was a bottom in the dollar, and it was a top on gold, as you saw in the other chart. And then dollar rallied to the beginning of May, and that's when gold corrected from, 12.95 down to 12.20, and then the dollar started weakening again, and gold has gone back up, and it topped at 12.96. And now, the dollar's strengthening again against the yen, and gold is going down against the dollar. And as you can see there, I drew two trend lines on this dollar versus yen chart. The bottom trend line seems to tell us that we might have hit the top there, but then I drew an alternative trend line with the top in May for the dollar, and it shows that we might go higher. At the moment, it looks like we hit that bottom line and it's just turned around. As I said, we need time to see if that's the case, if the dollar has topped against the yen, and we're going to have another leg down in the dollar yen and another leg up in gold versus the dollar. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, and I usually don't talk about things like this because, as I said, I think it's nearly impossible to know these things, and if you know these things, you wouldn't be telling people. But on June the 10th, which is about 11 days ago, there's a story on King World News, kingworldnews.com. I'm sure a lot of you probably have read King World News or listened to the interviews. I do once in a while, but not all the time. Sometimes I look at it, and there's a story, and here's the. I took a screenshot. It says, "Alert! Unknown entity deletes portion of whistleblower Andrew Maguire's King World News audio interview about a major event in 26 days." Well, 26 days from June the 10th is sometime in the beginning of July, July 5th, sometime around there. So basically, in this story, Andrew Maguire, tells Eric King from King World News that there's going to be a massive buying of physical gold in the beginning of July, and that's going to change the physical market completely, and it's going to make gold, trade a lot higher. And during the interview, when they're talking about this, apparently the interview was like, someone intervened and cut off the answer where he was talking about this event. We'll have to see though. So, but this is interesting. With the bottom, if we're reaching a bottom right now, this could make sense. But as I said, I'm not really saying we're gonna do this. I just thought some of you might find this interesting. It's like Bo Pony. He's been calling for $2,000 gold. He called for it in May. It didn't happen. That's why I said it's impossible to know things like this, in my opinion. So, yeah, are we near a short-term bottom in gold? Maybe. And are we near a top in the dollar yen? Maybe. So as of this morning right now, it's just before 8 o'clock London, 8 a.m. Gold is at $1245.50, up $2.50. High $1247, low $1242.68. So we've held. We didn't make a new low this morning. Yesterday was $1241. Silver's up 4 cents, around $16.50. Range has been $16.55 to $16.43. So very quiet right now. S&P futures unchanged. Dow basically up 5 points. NASDAQ 100 future down 8 points. Yesterday the stock markets did go down, but not significantly. I mean, I saw the Dow was down 60 points, but when you're talking about, a Dow at 21,500, 60 points is like not much really. Currency-wise, sterling continued to weaken, 126.12, down 16. Euro unchanged, 111.33. Dollar yen a little weaker. The dollar 111.27, down 20 pips. Yeah, as for sterling or British pound, yesterday Mark Carney of the Bank of England, the governor, gave a speech at the Mansion House, and he said that his view is that rates should be kept low, and that the Bank of England is nowhere near raising rates, and that's why the pound fell yesterday. Last week, we saw that 3 members of the MPC, or Monetary Policy Committee, voted to raise rates last week in the UK, or the Bank of England, and 5 voted to stay unchanged. So basically, Mark Carney has come out and said, no, these 3 guys don't matter. We're going to keep rates low. And it's the big, that's the real problem nowadays for the UK and the economy and society, is the debasement of the currency, the destruction of people's savings. That's the real extreme problem, the extreme monetary policy. Everything else that we've been listening in the papers and in the news that's happening, in Finsbury Park or in Manchester or London Bridge, all those things, I agree, they're real, but they're just like shifting the spotlight from the real problem, which is, the fact that our country, our government, and the public and the companies are hugely in debt, and that we are in trouble, that we need to tighten our belts, that our currency is going to become worth less and less as time goes by, because that's the only way governments know how to default or pay off their debt, is with cheaper pounds. So if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, share it far and wide, subscribe to my channel on YouTube if you haven't, watch my videos also on steemit.com. I highly recommend Steemit. It's a social media website or platform based on the blockchain. They have their own cryptocurrency, and you can earn Steem or Steem dollars as a creator, or also as a viewer or reader of the posts there. It's steemit.com. I'll talk to you later. Bye.